How you doing, guys? It's the Lord Humongous from RuleTheWasteland.com. Today's video is going to be a little bit philosophical and dealing with the role of government and talking about the Constitution and how it really fits into a free system for people to live under. And is it even a free system? Now, when people start out even just finding out about politics in the United States, most of the time you usually end up being told that you're supposed to choose between one side or the other, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, liberal or conservative. And even though I vastly prefer liberal and conservative to Republican and Democrat, because it at least is talking about an ideology and not just a team, it's still too limited to think of yourself necessarily in those terms. But that's normally what happens. And people who are freedom-minded or just realize from the very beginning that they're into personal freedom and self-destiny, owning yourself, owning your time and all that, typically end up being, well, it depends. I mean, sometimes they go into the conservatives, sometimes they go into liberals because liberals seem to allow certain things. But that's the problem, is both these are big government parties these days, Republicans and the Democrats. So most of the people who are interested in liberty start focusing on the Constitution and saying, you know, regardless of how they feel about other certain aspects that would sort of put them into a liberal or conservative camp, look at the Constitution, say, hey, we need to follow the Constitution, and then maybe they'll become more libertarian, and then the argument is that they eventually go on to become anarchists or something like that. Now, what my personal beliefs are on the role of government for any group of people is that it has to be voluntary, because no matter what your system of government is, if you're forcing it on someone else, then that's not a free system. You can't really force freedom on people, because freedom by definition is the ability to do what you want, basically. And if you're forcing someone else to be free per se, then that's not really freedom. So a lot of people would look at the Constitution and say this is the best thing that's ever been set up for, you know, granting people's freedoms or protecting their freedoms, because, as I like to always point out, the Constitution doesn't grant rights, it's just meant to protect them. The issue is that it is still not a voluntary system. The United States Constitution is probably the best ever way of protecting people's freedoms within a non-voluntary governmental system. The issue is that it's still a non-voluntary system. People are automatically placed under the rules of this system just by being in certain geopolitical boundaries. Now, I don't necessarily think that people who should automatically not be held to any sort of standards, but I think it has to be voluntary. And it doesn't have to be voluntary as in you can jump in and out whenever you want. It can be voluntary in the same way that, like, an apartment lease is voluntary, or other contracts are voluntary. You know, entering the Army is voluntary, but you still can leave if you want, just at any time. And I think government should be set up a lot more that way, and I think that's something that's certainly feasible. I don't believe that some pure pure anarchy systems are actually really feasible, but I do believe that you can actually have voluntary government, because for the very reason that it doesn't matter what type of system it is, whether that's a communist system, a socialist system, a free market capitalistic system, a more libertarian, a constitutional democracy, or representative republic, or anything like that. If the people are there by choice, then it's a voluntary system. And the Constitution, as it stands right now, the United States government at no point throughout its history has ever really been a voluntary system. And like I said, the Constitution does a damn good job of protecting freedoms within this system. It's the best it's ever been done as far as I'm concerned, at least in the way it was originally intended. But it's still not a voluntary system, and it's getting even worse because, as I've written on an article at RuleTheWasteland.com about how the United States isn't really free, especially not now, you can't even leave the country or renounce your citizenship without paying it. Something that they gave to you, or, you know, put on you against your will, even if it's something that you would have wanted, just by being born here, you can't even give up without actually paying them. So obviously you can't say that that's a free system. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying that trying to impugn the United States or anything like that. They're just pointing out simple facts, simple logical facts, that this is not a voluntary government. And if that's not what you're looking for, then that's fine. But I think if you're going to talk about freedom, you can't say that you're really free if you're in the system without even choosing to be, and can't leave even if you want to. So just something for you guys to think about if you're still stuck in that stage of you know, constitutional libertarianism or whatever like that, and haven't really given a thought to what it really means to have voluntary government. Now, is this something that we'll even ever really see in our lifetimes, or ever? maybe not. There's a lot of aspects of human nature that have prevented this from happening up till this point, and those aspects are going to keep being present and will probably prevent this from happening anytime in the near future as well. But it doesn't change the fact that if you're in a system that you weren't put into by choice and can't leave, then that's not freedom. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later.